This is the most impressive mountain in the United States that you've never heard of. Now, everyone's heard of Denali, Mount Rainier, or Half Dome, but there are plenty of impressive peaks in the United States that remain relatively unknown, including this little known peak in Montana. This is Kinnerly Peak, one of the more dramatic mountains you'll ever see. Located in the northwestern corner of Glacier National Park, only 3 miles south of the US-Canada border, Kinnerly Peak rises to an elevation of 9,944 feet. Now, if you're thinking that this elevation doesn't sound overly impressive, then you'd be right, as Kinnerly Peak is only the 8th highest point in Glacier National Park and the 255th highest in the state of Montana overall. But when we're talking about how impressive a mountain looks, elevation isn't everything, and what Kinnerly Peak lacks in height, it more than makes up for with relief and steepness. You see, Kinnerly Peak is particularly notable for its massive north face, which rises 5,399 feet over Upper Kintla Lake over a horizontal distance of about a mile. According to JUT, which is a metric that quantifies how impressive a mountain looks as a function of how high and steep it rises above the surrounding landscape, Kinnerly Peak is the 4th most impressive mountain in all of the lower 48. And the most impressive in the lower 48 outside of Washington state. Some notable mountains that Kinnerly Peak looks more impressive than, according to JUT, are Mount Hood, the Grand Teton, and Pikes Peak, along with many more. But despite this, Kinnerly Peak remains relatively unknown, especially when compared to these much more famous mountains. That has to do largely with the fact that it's located in a pretty remote corner of Glacier, and it's not easily visible from many of the popular spots in the park. In fact, getting a good view of Kinnerly Peak requires a minimum of a 5-mile hike to Kintla Lake, or climbing another peak in Glacier or the surrounding area. But this effort is well worth it, as Kinnerly Peak is one of the most impressive and beautiful mountains anywhere in the country. Comment below if you've heard of Kinnerly Peak, and follow for more geography content.